Hello everybody. In this video, I will try to explain you about the Gemini zodiac sign. See, Gemini in Vedic astrology is called as Midhuna Rashi. It is the third sign in the zodiac, right? So it's ruled by Mercury. We say Buddha in Vedic astrology, and it is an Aries sign. We have seen Aries is a fiery sign, whereas Taurus is an earthy sign. Now Gemini is an airy sign. And also we saw Aries is a Chararashi, means movable sign. Means whenever a particular planet, a lord of a particular house, is sitting in the sign of Aries, so that house significations are a bit movable. You would have that kind of taste in those significations. Let us say if your 10th lord is sitting in the sign of Aries, then you would feel like moving your profession from one to another, or in the same field you would move the industries or the companies from one company to another. Whereas Taurus is a kind of fixed energy. So whenever, let us say, 10th lord is sitting in the sign of Taurus, you would feel like staying in the same industry or the same company for a long time. So that is the energy. And here Gemini is having a kind of mutable nature, is a kind of dual in nature. That means mixed, kind of, is not completely movable, it's not completely fixed, semi-fixed, semi-movable kind of. So Gemini is very much famous for intelligence. And when you compare the universe or the earth evolution with the zodiac signs, when you compare it, Gemini is the sign where the intellect was born. So before Gemini, especially before Ardra Nakshatra, there was no intelligence. There was only innocence, enjoyment, and happiness, only that one. But there was no intellect before Ardra Nakshatra. Ardra Nakshatra is where the universe even tried to question or try to understand what kind of happiness we are experiencing, or what kind of behavior we had before this intellect was born. That questioning, that kind of intelligence, that kind of rebelliousness, you can say, going against the trend, such a kind of behavior, such a kind of intelligence is born in Ardra Nakshatra. So Ardra Nakshatra, or you can say the Gemini sign, basically the sign Gemini is very much famous for this curiosity and intelligence. Is always eager to learn and explore new ideas. And also Gemini, the sign, is very much famous for communication. As it is ruled by Mercury, Gemini is naturally gifted in speaking, writing, teaching, and networking. Right? And of course, you need to check the dignity of Mercury in your horoscope. Let us say somebody is having lot of Gemini energy, and his Mercury is somewhere debilitated or not having good energy, then we cannot say the person is a very good speaker, because Mercury is the main significator of your speech. And if Mercury is not comfortable in your chart, if you have some good amount of energy in Gemini, it may not be very much useful. And then Gemini is very much famous for multiplicity. It's a duality, we say. You generally, in some traditions, the sign Gemini is represented as twins. Gemini often thinks in twos, sees both sides. Or Gemini is very much famous for multitasking a lot. That is Gemini. Basically, that is how the Gemini energy is defined in Vedic astrology. And Gemini is very much famous for restlessness. Due to their active mind, Geminis often shift interests very, very quickly from one interest to another. So there is a kind of restlessness observed. And also playfulness and wit. So they love humor, and they this wordplay, this cleverness, they like it basically. And adaptability is another important thing that we talk about whenever we say something about Gemini. We talk about adaptability because Gemini energy adjusts quickly to new environments and people, right? So that is the fundamental behavior of Gemini energy. And you may say, see, imagine Gemini as a messenger, or you can imagine Gemini as a kind of storyteller, someone who is constantly gathering and exchanging information, right? So in modern terms, you can say Gemini is like the internet of the zodiac. That's very famous word you can find in the Vedic literature or in the Vedic astrology literature. Is Gemini is the internet of the zodiac, right? Because it is something like it constantly gathers information and exchanges information. That's where this internet word is very much suited for this energy. The Gemini energy is absorbing and transmitting knowledge, news, and ideas. That is the behavior of Gemini. And so you can say, see, if Aries is about action, because Aries is very much action oriented, because that is a Martian energy, right? And Taurus is about stability. We talked about, right? The Vrishabha, right? So that is very stable, slow and stable. And Gemini is about communication, curiosity. That is Gemini. So Gemini people, they love to think, they love to talk, and they love to learn. So they are mentally agile, you can say that, and they love variety, and they get bored easily. That's where they shift from one interest to another quickly, kind of, right? That's where this restlessness energy is also coming into the picture. See, they are also great connectors between people and ideas. That is another important thing. And you may say, yes, you said something good about this Gemini energy, but there are three nakshatras here. Mrigashira 3-4 padas, Ardra all padas. Ardra is the core of Gemini, and Punarvasu 1-3 padas. These are all in the Gemini sign only. So this is where this Vedic astrology differs from other astrologies, you can say, whether it is Western astrology or there are so many, right? See, the nakshatras and their specific padas are called as quarters generally. So based on them, you can analyze the behavior, right? See, though all these nakshatras that we talked about, the three, Mrigashira, Ardra, Punarvasu, Mrigashira 3-4, Ardra, all padas, and Punarvasu 1-3, they fall under Gemini, but each nakshatra brings a very distinct energy here. So all Gemini people are not the same. Their nakshatra and pada heavily influence how the core Gemini energy is expressed. And now, if you observe Mrigashira 3-4 padas of Gemini, and Mrigashira we talked about in the previous video also while talking about Taurus, because Mrigashira 1-2 padas are in the sign of Taurus. Now Mrigashira's deity is Soma, the moon god, and its symbol is deer's head, because Mrigashira means deer's head. And the energy, if you observe, it's very sensitive, romantic, and searching for emotional fulfillment. It's very curious in nature. That's the fundamental behavior of Mrigashira. And how it is finding its expression in Gemini. See, this Mrigashira energy is very softer, emotional, and more poetic. Geminis, we can say. because the soft side of Gemini, that emotional and more poetic side of Gemini, can be seen in Mrigashira 3-4. So they express Mercury's intelligence through a moon-like emotional energy. Their curiosity is emotional and spiritual. And if you observe the traits of Mrigashira 3-4, they are very artistic, gentle, they are shy, romantic, and they are of course restless. Right? So that is how they are finding the energy in the sign of Gemini. And then if you see Ardra, the main core of Gemini, its deity is Rudra, the stormy form of Shiva, and symbolism as a teardrop, and some literature also expresses diamond as a symbol of Ardra. And the energy is very, very intense. The Ardra energy is much more intense. That's where if this intensity is going bad somewhere, it's very, very destructive. That's why when you ask a person about his nakshatra, means where his moon is placed, if moon is placed in Ardra nakshatra and this particular moon is aspected by some bad planets, or this moon is in conjunction with some malefic planets, then that particular native's, that moon is really dangerous. Kind of his mind is very dangerous. If that's why people say, people ask what is your nakshatra when they question it, and if they get an answer like Ardra, Aslesha, Jyeshtha, Mula, they generally think, okay, I should be very careful with this particular native because this native belongs to Ardra or Aslesha or Mula or Jyeshtha. It's because, see, if the moon is placed in Jyeshtha or Mula or Aslesha or Ardra and it is not afflicted by any other malefic planet, then it is good. But what if that particular moon is somewhere afflicted, somewhere watched by a malefic planet, somewhere aspected by a malefic planet, somewhere sitting on the Rahu Ketu axis? Then it is going to create a kind of destructive thoughts in the mind of that particular native. That's what I'm trying to tell, right? So these are intense nakshatras, these 4, right? Even some people add Bharani also here, but that depends. So some people add Bharani as well, but these 4 nakshatras, you can find so many citations for these 4 nakshatras in the Vedic literature. These are very much intense, and when they are not afflicted, the energy is also very great, right? So anyways, here Ardra, the 4 padas in Gemini, all 4 padas are in Gemini. So the deity is, of course, we know the Rudra, and the energy is very intense. It's transformative, it's emotional, it's very, very rebellious. So how this nakshatra is finding its expression here? See, these are fiery, emotional and revolutionary Gemini sides, right? So Mercury here is impacted by Rudra's destruction and rebirth. That is the main concept of Rudra. That kind of energy, Mercury is impacted by this Rudra's destruction and rebirth energy. Communication may be bold, it's cutting or a kind of revolutionary, right? So, and you may say, you may say, I'm telling so many things about Ardra, very much intense or something, but you would be finding someone in Ardra who is a kind of saint, right? A kind of sannyasi, or a kind of, because Ardra is related to Rudra, the Shiva, right? Because these people are much more intelligent, that these Ardra people, they're much more intelligent, that they can understand the materialistic things very early, in their early age itself. it's something like I already made some videos on Ardra. If you observe, let us say everyone is celebrating, everyone is very happy, everyone is enjoying and dancing. But in that group, if you find an Ardra person, what he would think, okay, these people are enjoying because they have something good happen, they have something good now. If they have something bad, then all these people would cry, right? And if something different happens, they react in a different way. So this all happiness, all these people are, this happiness of all these people are a kind of bullshit, because they are happy because of some reason, and tomorrow they would be crying because of some other reason, and day after tomorrow they would be behaving differently because of some other different reason. And that is this materialistic life. This kind of what I can say, this kind of concept, they generally come to know at a very early age itself, right? Because I'm telling you here, Ardra is the nakshatra where intellect is born. You might be thinking this intellect is, as it is in the sign of Gemini, and we are relating it to Mercury, so you would be relating this intelligence with all the academics, all the logical thinking and all, right? But this intelligence is knowing the particular emotion very clearly, what is the reason behind it, and taking the emotion in a very, very lighter way, in the sense understanding the emotion clearly with some logic. That is, in that way I'm telling, Ardra is the nakshatra where the energy of intelligence is born. So you need to check if the Martian energy is a bit controlled in a Ardra horoscope, then you would see they would be just understanding the materialistic society and just behaving very, very normally, right? Kind of sannyasi, kind of. That's a different story. We need to check the whole horoscope, but Ardra is revolutionary, that is for sure, right? And the traits associated with Ardra, they're a bit sharp-tongued, we say generally in Vedic astrology. They are intense thinkers. Their thinking is very good irrespective of their academic knowledge. And generally, we say Ardra people are social rebels, may go through emotional storms in their life, because Ardra is a storm. Ardra is a storm, that's it. It's an emotional storm. So every Ardra person, anybody, you take 100 Ardra people, 100 out of 100, they go through these emotional storms in their life. That's it. It's not the emotional transformation I am talking about, it's the emotional storm. That's it. Emotional transformation is different. Emotional transformation is where your emotions are, converting from one behavior to another behavior. At least that is a kind of at least you would not cry much in emotional transformation, but in emotional storm you would be crying, but you don't know whom to share all this sadness. That kind of things also you can generally see in Ardra people. That's where they become a kind of yogic or sannyasic kind of figures in the society. And Punarvasu 1 to 3 padas, they are also in the sign of Gemini. And how they are finding expression here, the deity is Aditi, the mother of gods, right? And the symbol of Punarvasu is a bow, right? And the energy is restorative, because Punarvasu means Punah Vasuhu, that is, the prosperity again. They would lose prosperity at some point of time, but they will gain it back for sure. And again they may lose and gain it back. There is a kind of sequence of things. But generally, in the Kali Yuga, I would say they may lose the prosperity once, but they gain back and they may not lose it again, right? Most of the times, if the horoscope is very much, uh, it's not so comfortable, then we may need to think, we may need to check the horoscope, but generally, they gain prosperity for sure. Again, right? And very much nurturing is something like Aditi is the deity here, the mother of gods. See, mother of a particular person, the motherly nature, how you see mother of a particular human. And here in Punarvasu, Aditi is the mother of all the gods. That means they have a lot of motherly nature by default. They're very nurturing, they're very, very optimistic, right? So that's a fundamental behavior of Punarvasu, right? And in the sign of Gemini, how it is finding expression. See, these Geminis are a bit wise. I'm not talking about Punarvasu 4 here when I am saying wise. 1, 2, 3 I am talking about in the sign of Gemini. You got it? 4 I cannot guarantee, because 4 in Punarvasu 4, that is going in the sign of Cancer. So that's very emotional, completely emotional. Their emotions are in such a way that it would dominate their intelligence also. They would become less intelligent and more emotional. Punarvasu 4. But 1, 2, 3, they are intelligent. They are intelligent enough. They are wise for sure. And they are motherly in nature. They are philosophical communicators. The Punarvasu 1, 2, 3 are philosophical communicators, whereas Punarvasu 4 is into psychology again. Punarvasu 4 is turning this intelligence, the energy of intelligence in Punarvasu 4 is converted into emotions, converted into psychology. You got it? So only Punarvasu 1, 2, 3 are wise, motherly, philosophical communicators. But Punarvasu 4, of course they are motherly, but they are more into emotions, they are more into psychology, we can say. So I'm not talking about Punarvasu 4 here. I'm just stopping Punarvasu 4, talking about that. I will talk about that in the sign of Cancer. And now in 1, 2, 3, Mercury blends with Jupiterian energy because Punarvasu is ruled by Jupiter, right? So they speak of truth, morality, and unity, these things more, right? And generally speaking, Punarvasu 1, 2, 3 are calm, nurturing, they're good teachers, they're balanced thinkers, generally. And now you may ask, here this Gemini world is the mercurial world, right? I will try to differentiate based on the nakshatras. I just explained what each nakshatra is, how it is expressing its energy. Now I will clearly differentiate. The Mrigashira 3, 4, they're romantic, they're curious, they're gentle, they're artistic. That's good enough. And now Ardra is intense, rebellious, and they're stormy thinkers and stormy emotions in their life. And Punarvasu 1, 2, 3 they're a bit wise. They're wise, they're nurturing, they are something like they talk about morality. They're that kind of communicators, right? So I would say it's all Mercury based only. This is all Gemini based only. So all these people are Gemini by Rashi, but their nakshatra changes the flavor here. So same Mercury base, same Gemini base, but different planetary deities and themes affect their mind, their speech, their behavior, and even life patterns, I would say. And see, that's why an Ardra Gemini will behave vastly different from a Mrigashira 3, 4 or Punarvasu 1, 2, 3 in Gemini. See, even though they all fall under the same umbrella, that is Midhuna Rashi. So here, if we take some analogy, let us say Gemini is a kind of Gemini is a type of car, let us say. Mrigashira is a kind of convertible cruiser, where it's very soft and gentle, right? The mercurial expression is that way, where you can go into that convertible cruiser and you can have some scenic exploration. Basically, a convertible cruiser is built for scenic exploration only. So that is how the mercurial energy is finding its expression, the soft behavior, a scenic exploration, right? Whereas this ardra is like a sports car, right? It's very fast, it's very intense, it's very bold, it cuts through the traffic, it breaks limits, kind of, right? So it's a bit rebellious. Ardra is the nakshatra which is the rebellious side of Mercury, you would say, you know. And this is also Gemini, because Gemini world is a kind of thinking world. Mrigashira are soft thinkers, they're soft, and Ardra is rebellious. Means just how, see, in Aries, I said Aries, this particular, the first nakshatra Ashwini is a kind of spark, whereas is Bharani is a kind of furnace, right? Means the heat is up very high, going high, and then in Kritika first pada there's a purification process is going on, means there's a kind of last stage of that fire. Here in Gemini it is an air. As air means thinking. Whenever in Vedic astrology you say some airy element, that is related to thinking, because air is a bit faster, right? That is related to the thinking process. So here Mrigashira is just the starting of that airy behavior or the thinking behavior. It's a kind of soft, poetic, right? It's very curious, romantic, elegant. That's that kind of thinking. 3-4, Mrigashira 3-4. That's where I'm saying convertible cruiser. You just travel in that, enjoy, you enjoy the scenes around. That's good. Such kind of behavior is a soft thinker, whereas Ardra is a kind of rebellious thinker. It's a sports car, is a kind of, it's very fast and intense. Even if there is a traffic, this sports car would, cuts through the traffic, kind of. That kind of thinking of this Ardra nakshatra is a bit dangerous, right? And now Punarvasu 1, 2, 3 is a kind of family SUV. A family SUV is very safe, it's wise, it's always comforting, it carries everyone home very much reliably. It's very much reliable. Punarvasu is a bit reliable, the 1, 2, 3 padas, right? So the thinking is a kind of safe thinking, a wise thinking. So a lot of people say Ardra is the nakshatra where the intellect is born, but that intellect is a bit rebellious, right? Sometimes it's a bit dangerous. If you clearly analyze, or if you think, sometimes you feel, of course Ardra is intelligent, but is that thinking good for us? Is that really helpful? That much of rebellious thinking, that much of fast and intense thinking, that the kind of thinking is it's cutting through, right? But look at the Punarvasu 1, 2, 3. It is the real wise thinking, sometimes we feel, because it is ensuring some kind of safety, some kind of comfort. It's very much reliable, right? So I would say in the Gemini world, of course, Mrigashira is that, 3-4 is that romantic thinking, curious thinking, elegant thinking, that's good, it's nice, soft. And Punarvasu is also soft. It's also safe. Basically, it's Punarvasu, I would say, not soft, it's safe, right? It's wise and comfort. But Ardra is a kind of rebellious thinking, not very much needed for the, you know, for a kind of soft environment. That thinking we can use in technology. Somebody is saying, let us say, let us say in ancient India or in some years back, let us say, I want to communicate to my brother some information, but my brother is living far away. Then, and you may say it would take around 4 or 5 days for this communication to reach my brother. Then Ardra thinking is something like, okay, why don't we do it in 1 hour? Why don't we invent something which can do it in 1 hour? I'm a bit restless. I want to do that. My thinking is a bit restless. I want to do it. Kind of. Why can't we do it? Kind of. Uh, it even doesn't think about the existing norms and conditions. It just cutting through, kind of, right? That's where Rahu is the planetary ruler of Ardra. Whereas Punarvasu, see, it is very wise, it's comforting, it's safe and reliable. That's where Jupiter has become that is the Guru, the Brihaspati has become the Lord of Punarvasu. Right? So, I would say Punarvasu is a kind of family SUV where you have a reliable, safe and comforting, journey. Whereas Ardra is a kind of sports car where it would cut through the traffic and there would not be any safety sometimes. And Mrigashira is a kind of convertible cruiser where you can enjoy the scenes around. So they're all cars, they're all Gemini, they're all, but how they drive, where they go, and how they make you feel, it varies, right, with the nakshatra. That's how I can add the flavor here, right? So I would say, in terms of, I would say, if you are seeing some drama, right? Because I'm talking about this drama and all, because Gemini is that mercurial world, and let us say it's a drama going on. When you see a romantic drama, how you feel? It's very, very soft romantic drama. It's very poetic, it's emotional, right? So you have that love, you would see that love and that poeticness, that softness in the drama. Then how you feel? It's very soft, right? And you would explore some love and all in the drama. Cool. That is Mrigashira, basically. That energy is Mrigashira. And then you're watching a drama again, but it is a psychological thriller. How would you feel now? The psychological thriller is very, very intense. It's rebellious. It's of course thought-provoking because it's a psychological thriller, but it also challenges the existing norms. It's a psychological thriller, basically. So that is Ardra. And this Punarvasu 1 to 3 is a kind of family drama, or a bit of spiritual drama. You would add that spiritual thing also, touch. You just give the touch. So basically a family or spiritual drama, more like a family drama. It's a kind of, yes, wise, it's healing in nature. It focuses on values, home and purpose. That is the drama here, right? So here everything is drama, but it tells a very different story based on the nakshatra's energy. The tone is different. You got it? So that is how you can understand this Gemini world. It's all thinkers only. Gemini is all thinkers only. But it's Mrigashira 3-4 as soft, emotional, romantic, poetic thinker. Ardra is a kind of rebellious, revolutionary thinker. Punarvasu 1-3 is a safe, reliable, family thinker. Wise thinker. Wise. Wise is the correct word for Punarvasu 1-3, and family, that touch you should never ignore that family touch when you're talking about Punarvasu, because Punarvasu's deity is Aditi, the mother of all the gods, right? So this is about Gemini energy in Vedic astrology. Thanks for watching this video. In other video, we'll try to discuss the Cancer zodiac sign. Thank you.